Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Donald Thomas. And woo, season is here already. All right, we've been waiting all off season for this, and finally, in just a few days, the Indianapolis Colts will host Week 1 versus the Houston Texans. And let's face it, not just the Colts players and coaches and ownership, but us fans, we have that Week 18 game fresh in our minds. You're right, one catch away from most likely winning the division and making it to the playoffs. But here we are. We're going to wipe that slate clean and hopefully come out of this one with something positive to talk about. Donald, what are your thoughts? What's your level of excitement for the season starting against the Houston Texans the way it ended last season?
I love that we start the season off with a divisional game. I think that's one way to set the tone for the season. I love it. I don't like it because, usually depending on the team, you kind of start off a little bit slow, trying to figure, things out, and boom, you're hit with a, divisional game that's so crucial and important. I like to see it kind of like week 3, week 4, so we can kind of work the kinks out. But hey, it is what it is. Last year was last year. You got to forget about it. Can't even think about it. The NFL is season by season. It's not, pick up where you left off. You want to, but you want to have everyone on the same page. But, unfortunately, it's not that for every team. So I'm excited to see what, Week 1 has in store for the Colts, being that it is a big game. It's a super big, important game. I hope, I think they're drilling that in everyone's brains, and I hope everyone kind of takes heed to it and it comes out, ready to go.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into the game, I need to remind everyone that BetOnline is the most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and your share of $200,000. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack, poker, or unwind with one of over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. So, look, we've discussed this on the last episode that we're both a little weary. We need some guys to step up in the secondary, right? Corner, safety position. Mainly, and I'm going to tell you what, the Colts secondary is going to be hard pressed this upcoming game. The Houston Texans have got they had a plethora of receivers. They had good receivers last season, but they went out and picked up other people, and they've got guys back from injury. That Week 18 game, they did not have Tank Dell. He was done for the season. He was on IR. And then they went out, and got another guy. I don't know, maybe you've heard of him, Stephon Diggs. So you got Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz at tight end, who's been solid. Robert Woods, let's not forget about him. John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson. They've got some weapons to throw to over there for CJ Stroud. Big question to you there, Donald, is how do the Colts go about slowing down this passing attack that looks like it could be a top 3 unit in the league this upcoming season?
Same thing they did last year. Rely on that D-line to get pressure. Not going to be a big blitz game. You'll see a couple of them in there from time to time, but, guys are going to be in pass coverage. Guys are going to have to trust their eyes, and guys are going to have to, play sound football. In the secondary, also the linebackers as well, covering the tight ends. It's going to be one of those games where, we do have the defensive line that it can apply pressure to the quarterback. But, at the end of the day, they're going to try the deep balls. They're going to try them. And they're going to try to expose a weakness in the defense. And hopefully, these guys have gotten better. And with the additions, they help out in the secondary. But like I said before, this is a game that's going to have to be one up front. And it's not, when I'm saying stop the run, I'm saying you got to get to the quarterback. You got to cause havoc back there.
Well, the Colts they do have one of the better, in my opinion, defensive lines in the NFL, even after losing, their starting defensive end, possibly for the season, I believe, this past off season during training camp. Because let's face it, we went out, spent the 15th overall pick to get, as Chris Ballard says, the best defensive player in the draft, right? That's exactly what he said while he was laughing hard.
Yeah.
And he's been really putting a show on, right, during training camp, during preseason. But it's not just him, right? DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Dayo Odangbo. Obviously, we've got other guys on there that is just absolutely studly. I mean, come on. We got Tyquan Lewis, who in my opinion is incredibly underrated because when he's on the field, he produces at a very, very high clip. His quarterback pressure percentage was the highest on the team last year. He just didn't play a whole lot because he's been dealing with injuries the last few years. I mean, both his knees have been blown out. How important, I mean, how big is this defensive line in this game? I mean, not just getting to the quarterback, but also stopping the run, which is obviously going to be important because you got to remember they went out and got Joe Mixon in the offseason from Cincinnati, and they already have, Dameon Pierce sitting back there as well.
Yeah, so I will say this, like the Texans this offseason, they were very aggressive and very tactical in the additions they made. And so they looked at it like, every team does, like, how can I make my team better? But how can I really enhance what we already have that's good? And so, when you go out and you add Diggs, you go out and you add, Mixon and all these guys, it only helps your running game, right? When you add to the passing attack, it softens the run game up, right? When you can't stack the box because you have these threats, in the backfield, well, you have these threats on the outside and you only have one running back in the backfield. You're like, all right, we got to play the run. We got to play the pass, but then you have a good, solid running back with a good, solid running game. I mean, here's the deal. Like, I'm predicting the Texans have a pretty good season, right? And so this is going to be a great test coming out the gate for everybody on the defense. Like, we can't take away from, we can say the secondary is questionable, but, like I just said before, like defensive lines have to step up and play big. They're the most crucial part of this offense, of this defensive package in this game. Tyquan Lewis, I think he's super underrated. I think he's one of those guys where, in my opinion, you can put him at a 3 technique as well, and he can generate some pressure because he can make guards have to get off their spot. And so when you have a guy like that, that's like versatile like that, it only adds to, the package. If you get caught in a situation where you have a smaller, faster D-line on the field and they go no huddle or something like that and you can't sub, you can put them down on the inside and still create some pressure. So, up front, honestly, I think they're stout in the run game. They show that in the preseason. But, the preseason is the preseason, right? The preseason is everyone's just kind of getting a feel for what's going on. So, it's just like I said before, they're going to be tested up front. I think DeForest Buckner is just one of those generational, defensive tackles that is just crafty. He doesn't just use his size, he uses his quickness. His short space quickness is unreal. He has super long arms where he's able to, use that to his advantage on these guards that he can get into them quick. Then you got big Grover in the middle as well, clogging up the middle. Hopefully this year he's available for all games and we don't miss him as with the suspension like last year. So that's just going to add to, we forget that. I think sometimes we forget that because the Colts played well, up front, even when he was gone. Guys stepped up. They still got pressures. They still stopped the run, in my opinion. So if we can keep him healthy, keep him, on the right path and not in any, trouble with any banned substances or anything like that, I think that, this defensive front here is just going to be the key all season like they were last year.
See, in my opinion, the best way to stop a really good passing attack is what the Indianapolis Colts have done to the Kansas City Chiefs the last 3 times they've played them during the regular season. And that is run the ball all over them. And that's what the Indianapolis Colts are historically done very well against the Houston Texans, with Jonathan Taylor averaging over 130 yards a game. in his career against the Texans. That is unreal, right?
Yep.
And we've got all of our starting 5 offensive linemen back, right? We got a healthy Jonathan Taylor, and then don't forget we have Anthony Richardson. So in my opinion, it's not just the offense has to play well. They have to play well in a specific way. Keep CJ Stroud and that high potent, high octane offense off the field by running the football, wearing down the Texans defense, while at the same time keeping our defensive players fresh for when they are on the field having to play against that offense.
Yeah, I mean, so I really that goes into like how I don't see this being a high scoring game. Just because, like, for the Colts, in my opinion, we don't want to score super fast. We want to score every time we get the ball, right? But you want to be tactical with it. You want to grind the clock. You want to keep the clock rolling. You want to get 3, 4, 5 yard chunks on the run. Just keep the clock running, right? And so what that will do is that will obviously wear down the defense, right? But we also will open up the pass game for those not forced throws that where Anthony feels like he's under pressure to get a first down or get the ball down the field. We can play into his strengths of making him, not have to think as much, right? Not be fooled by defensive coverages, get the ball to the tight end, throw the out routes, hopefully not quicks. I hate slants. I just hate them. I think slants are suicide missions in my opinion. But, the short pass game can be there if we can continue to maintain the run throughout the game. So it's important that, the game plan is simple, in my opinion, with a couple of wrinkles in there where there's counters off of, the simple stuff to catch the defense off guard. But, the key is going to be, keep time of possession is key in this game, grinding the clock down and making it so that, you can stay, to 2-score game. I don't think it would be 14, but I think it'll be a 10-point game where if the Colts can get a 10-point lead and grind the clock out, it'll really work in their favor.
Last year, both these teams had rookie head coach of the year candidates, right? Between offensively, we have, Shane Steichen for the Indianapolis Colts. And then on defensively for the Texans, their head coach, DeMeco Ryans, is definitely a defensive mastermind. How big of a role will these two guys sitting on the sidelines have while they're facing each other? Literally, with their, the plays that they're calling on the field will be going up against each other. It's very rarely we get to actually say that the head coach versus head coach, but that's literally what you're having here in this game.
Yeah, when you have younger head coaches, they tend to be more involved with game plan decisions. You see like the older coaches, but they really trust that their coordinators are going to put them in the right position and they just oversee and just, check that off. Yeah, well, I like that, whatever. But when you have guys that are offensive, defensive minded, it really is going to be, scheme versus scheme. Who can outthink the other one, right? Who's going to come up with the best scheme to expose the other, right? And it's really 2 schemes, right? Like I got a first half scheme, and when I go in the locker room, we're going to tweak it a little bit more because he thought he was in my mind when I was coming up with this scheme. I love it for the simple fact of, like it really is mastermind versus mastermind. And it's something that people really don't see or understand because you don't see like that behind the scenes coming up, cooking up stuff. Hey, we can't run this offensive scheme against them. It's just not going to work because of the way they play it, as opposed to we can't run this defensive scheme against these guys because they have, these weapons or they do this well. How can we expose that, right? How can we find holes in their defense or in their offense to where it can be advantageous for us? So it's going to be really interesting to see, not just the players, but the coaches putting the players in the right positions and making sure that they are successful at what they do well, but also how I can expose the other.
Are you a proponent of just halftime adjustments, or are you somebody who is big into, hey, they're really killing us here, or hey, I see something here, and making adjustments from drive to drive?
Yeah, so every team comes out with a script offensively.
Yes.
Right. It's a 10-play script. We go over it the night before. Hey, these are the 10 plays that are up first, first 10 plays of the game. They're up, not in this order, but they're up, right? And so, like, this is the first play of the game. We know that we're going to get this front. They're going to play it kind of vanilla because this is their, I tell the people all the time, it's like watching a boxing match, right? The first 4 rounds we're filling each other out. There's going to be a couple blows in there. We got to make adjustments. And then you really figure out the opponent halftime and you make your big adjustments. And that's why you see these 8-9 round knockouts, right? So it's the same way. Like, I'm a proponent of, hey, we came out in these 10 plays, we're running them or whatever. We get to the sideline, coach is like, hey, look, pull out the iPad. This is what we're seeing. Hey, look, we'll make adjustments on the fly. Hey, look, there's not going to be a double team here. You're going to block down on the nose. The tackle will take the 3 technique. We're not going to double him because the linebacker who we're double teaming for is coming off the backside. Stuff like that, little tweaks. And then halftime we go in and, hey, this play's up. This is how we're going to run it, right? This is up. Hey, look, we're going to run this route. We're going to make this adjustment. And then you really make your adjustments because you have everybody collectively in the locker room as a unit, drawing plays up on the board. Coaches get with their groups. They make the adjustments, and then you really come out and you really see who really comes up with another scheme for the game.
Yeah, and when the Colts do have to go into the pass game, it's going to be a high amount of, first off, it looks like we may be without Josh Downs. He's not practiced the last few days. He's had an ankle injury. He's had problems. But Bernhard, Raimann, and Braden Smith, the outside tackles, are going to have their hands full because last season you had Will Anderson Jr., who had a fantastic season. And from what I just got done talking to some guys that were that cover the Houston Texans, and apparently Danielle Hunter has had he's just been a monster, right, during their training camps and stuff like that. He hasn't played a lot during preseason, but for a vet, you kind of expect that. Yep. But these are 2 high-powered, high-motor guys on the edge going up against our offensive tackles. Is that where the game is going to be won, or is there going to be one more towards the middle with the center and the guards in the run game? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So if we want to run the ball outside, right, then it's going to have to be one of those tackles going to have to really, do a good job on those ends. We want to run the ball up the middle. Clearly, obviously, I think that, with Jonathan Taylor, I think he does both really well. I think with his power and speed, he can get to the outside and cut the ball up the field. But I really like when he runs downhill. I really like when they run counter powers, inside zone. I think he can make a cut and hit the hole, hard. I think the game is really won inside, in my opinion, just from the style of running back that Jonathan Taylor is and what he does well and what really fits his role is, hitting a hole and getting yards and then breaking it, right? So I think personally, I think it's going to be inside, control those ends, right? But the game needs to be won with the center and the 2 guards really being bullies in the middle, getting, good push up front. And, like I said, we don't need home runs. We need 3, 4, 5 yards. I'm not running the ball outside to get 3, 4, 5 yards. I'm running the ball downhill to get 3, 4, 5 yards. You see what I'm saying? Like, because it takes more time to get that ball outside. Now, they're going to run the ball outside because everything's up in the game plan. But it's going to be one, really up the middle, and then once they try to, start blitzing in the middle, stacking the box a little bit, that's when you can get those outside runs. But you got to do a good job. That's why the tight ends are so important on getting those chips or, getting a double team to the end, to the front side linebacker, to that safety, to that Sam backer. So I think first off, they need to try the middle, pound the ball, run, like what they say, that those hats run the damn ball, the damn ball up the middle, and then we'll get to the outside. But I think it's one in the middle, honestly.
All right. Anthony Richardson has not he's had an up and down off season, obviously. During the preseason games, we've talked about how he's had a little bit of inaccuracy problems here and there, not on the same page with some of his receivers at times. I mean, we did see that pick 6, which was obviously, Richardson thought Granson was going to do one thing. Granson did another. There was another throw over the middle to A.D. Mitchell where Mitchell kind of, stutter step at the top of his cut, and Richardson thought he was going to continue on downfield. That could have been a huge play, ended up being an incomplete pass. In a situation like that, how do you game plan when it comes to like plays for the quarterback and the receiving group to get them, I don't know, less situations like that where, you know, the receivers out there might do one thing, you know, where the quarterback might end up throwing a pick because he thinks he's going to go a different direction or something.
Yeah. So that comes down to gelling with the quarterback and his receivers. It comes down to relationship. It really comes down to them communicating, not just, you know, on the field at practice, but in the meeting room, right? Like, people are going to hate me, but I can only give you my best and like my best examples or my personal experience. But when I was in New England, all right, we'll get it out the way. Just guys, I'm just giving you my experience. Tom did a really good job of communicating with the receivers and the tight ends on what he's seeing and what he is going to do, right? And so if you see this, expect me to do this, and I need you to be there to get the ball because I see a safety that you don't see, or I see linebacker dropping back in coverage, or if they bend it, if they play it like this, the leverage on the outside, abort that route, run a fade, right? So things like that where it's more so it's yes, there's a game plan of you know you're running a fade, you're running a 9 route, you're running a slant, whatever it is, to on the fly, we're checking it like, yeah, you start off in that, but then you're going to hit it this way because I can't throw that ball in there. And it comes down to practice reps. It comes down to communicating off the field. A lot of it is off the field. A lot of it is in the meeting room. A lot of it is watching film. A lot of it comes from them just being together and them understanding and being in each other's minds of, okay, I trust my receiver to know what I'm seeing and trust that he's going to be there. I'm going to put the ball there because I can't put it in here because this is a danger zone. So Tom did a good job of doing that, and the receivers really did a good job of understanding where Tom was going to put that ball at. Hey, it's going to be low. I can't throw it high. It's going to be low. You're going to have to dive for this ball. It's going to be down at your feet, or it's going to be out here just because this is where the ball has to be placed. So, Anthony, it just takes time of reps. It's going to come down. It's going to come down to. That's why I say, like, I want to see a divisional game be, week 4 or something like that, so we can work these kinks out to where we can really get everybody on the same page. But the picks and all that, where you think someone's going to be and they're not, or he stutter steps, he slows his route down, and that just comes from just communication and being on the same page for real. Like if they can do that, then that's going to help them out tremendously. But they got to get to that point, and that's not easy. That comes from leadership. That comes from communicating. That comes from knowing how to really work with guys. You try to talk to guys differently. You can't communicate with one guy the same way you communicate with the other. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah, when we get heated in the moment, I need you to be there because of this, but you got to understand everyone has a different learning curve. Everyone, doesn't see the game how you see it. So you got to understand that these are guys that you're stuck with. Make it work.
Who's your 2 key players, one offensive, one defensive, that you feel need to have a stellar game in order for the Indianapolis Colts to walk out of this with a W?
I think Jonathan Taylor, offensively, I think that he's got to be dominant. His success will predicate Anthony Richardson's success. If he can, if that unit, if that offensive line, and I'm gonna put offensive line and John Taylor together. If they can get the run game going, it's only going to help him out tremendously. And then on defense, man, key player on defense, man. I to be honest with you, I really want to see. Oh, man, that's a tough one because it's really tough because I think the D line is going to do their thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to say, oh, I want DeForest Buckner to. He's going to get his pressure. He's going to get his sack. He's going to get his pressures. He's going to do his thing. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Latu. I'm just being honest with you. He's going to play well. I just don't know what I'm going to get. The regular season's different from the preseason, but he's a good player. Key player though, I think is going to be. I got to pick somebody out of the secondary. Man. I'm not going to give one player. I just want to see the secondary be on the same page. I want the corners to be on the same page with the safeties. So one doesn't think one should be there and they're dropping somebody and the safety's not there. I just want every secondary. I'm sorry. I can't give you one player. Secondary. I can't do it.
I'm gonna go. I am gonna point out one person. I believe Nick Cross, who I think is starting this game. at free safety, he's going to have to keep everything in front of him,
Mhm.
right? He's absolutely leave the linebackers in the corners and Julian Blackman at strong safety, unless Blackman is, flipped over to single high, which can happen, or vice versa, but Nick Cross has to learn when he has to stay back and keep everything in front of him, keep him eyes on the whole field, and make sure that no one gets past him, because the Texans, CJ Stroud is going to take those shots, and we're going to need someone back there to erase that kind of stuff and make sure that they don't get easy touchdowns and be able to get off the field and put pressure on our offense again. But I also agree with you on the Jonathan Taylor offensive line kind of unit being one, and that, it's going to be predicated a lot on that. Obviously, Anthony Richardson needs to stay healthy and no turnovers. That's incredibly important. Defensive line, you said they're going to get theirs. Yes, I think on defensive line, really, I think it has a lot to do with. I love Latu, but Defoe's got to be Defoe. He's got to get up the middle. He's got to stop the run. He's got to get pressure.
He's going to do that. He's going to do that. He's that player that you like. The coach is like, you're like, all right, we got him on the field. We're good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, granted, like, this is the NFL, so he ain't going to get a pressure every single time, but his presence will be felt. He will make plays. He's been in the league long enough. He's crafty enough. He's just one of those generational defensive tackles. And me being an offensive lineman, those guys come around, every 10 years, where there's just like 2 or 3 guys that they have a dominant run. And even as they get older, they're not that explosive guy, but they can turn it on in a second. And they also know how to use their hands well, or fool you, or just, and they're just crafty. And he's one of those guys where he's getting to that point in his career where he doesn't have to run you over, but he knows how to use your what you think are your strengths to your weakness of being aggressive. So I know if a guy's aggressive, I'm going to, play to that, right? I'm going to swim him, right? Or I'm going to, let him fire off the ball and freaking just, spin move or whatever it is. Or I know so he's just one of those guys where he's going to get his. So that's why I'm not putting him in there. I think he's just one of the he's a steadfast, part of the defensive unit. It's just the younger guys just got to just get those reps, and really everyone just got to be a pro, because like individually everybody's good. Everybody is good, and they wouldn't be playing in the NFL if they weren't. It's just collectively how well can they put it together, working together, because it's 11 guys that have to be all on the same page for real. That's the beauty of this game. Is like a guy could be, especially offense, right? He can be stellar. I got the best tackle in the game, but if my guard next to him can't pass a twist off to him, or, like doesn't know like what's going on, they're not working together, it doesn't matter, right? So, one-on-one pass rush is one thing where he can shut them down, but it's not going to be the case every single time. So, I just think as a unit, that's why I said the offensive line is a unit in that run game. They have to work together, because Jonathan Taylor's got to get his. And if they don't block, he's not going to get yards, right? So they got to do their thing in order for him to, make a cut and make someone else miss and get yards. It's going to be predicated on that. So, they got to rely heavy on the run game. Heavy.
Yeah. Game predictions. All right, here we are at the end of the show. We got to make our prediction. Who's going to win and what's the score and why? If you want, I'll go first.
Yes, please.
All right. A lot of people not going to like me on this one. All right. Now, as much as I think the Indianapolis Colts can win this game? Absolutely. Indy beat them week 1. They dang on near beat them week 18. But both these teams are different. Both these teams are better, right? My problem is there's just too many weapons out there for the Texans for the Colts to just be able to shut them down each and every time, each and every drive. I think the Texans are going to have a good game through the air, and Zaire Franklin is going to be very, very upset because how much talk he's had, and CJ is going to be able to back up what he said during the offseason. I don't think it's going to be a runaway game. I think it's going to be within a touchdown. I think the score is going to be something like 24-17, still a low scoring game. 41 points overall is not exactly, blow the roof off the place or anything of that nature. But it's one of those games where the Colts will be able to run the football here and there, but you're going to end up, there's going to be times when the Texans are going to stuff that run, and you're going to see 3rd and long, and then it's going to be all on Anthony Richardson and whether or not he can make the right decision. We'll see, but I am going to pick the Texans to win this game. I just hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, here's it. Like it's not. There's in no shape of imagination is this a blowout, because this is a divisional game. People don't understand divisional games. You go home sore. You go home very sore because it is physical. It is. Those divisional games, you got to have your mind right for them. Like it's a war. It's battle. Every snap is, you know what I'm saying? Which every snap is in the NFL, but it's divisional is just different.
Mm-hmm.
Divisional is just so, like, I'm saying my prediction is, and I got to go Kroger, so I don't want anybody running up on me in Kroger, right? But don't be mad. I'm saying 21-17. Texans get this one just because of the weapons they have. But here's the deal. It can very easily be 21-17 Colts win.
Mm-hmm.
21-17 Texans right now, just because of the weapons that they've acquired. They have everybody back, and just the way they ended the season, riding into this season with the confidence that Stroud has now, with knowing that he can play at a very high level in the NFL. And our quarterback, no matter what he says in an interview or what he portrays to the public in the media, he has questions about himself. He's a little bit more nervous than Stroud is. And when your leader has a small chink in the armor of whether it's, experience, or whether it's just ability, or whether it's just, confidence, or confidence that the team has in him, there's that disadvantage that you bring onto the field every single time. Now, are there going to be, examples of greatness on the field from Anthony? 1,000%. He's in the 0.001% of exceptional, phenomenal athletes in the world, right? You can't replicate his build, his ability. So he can do things. He's going to be able to do some special things. But overall, I think that it's just going to have to come with experience for him to consistently do them at a high level. So that's the only reason why in this game, to be honest with you, I'm going to give, the Texans the edge just because of that, for that one sole reason of the quarterback and their leader, I feel like is at a higher level right now than Anthony is.
Well, that, and, when you have a little bit of question marks about yourself, and the fact that you're really, showing occasionally you're not on the same page with the guys that you're throwing the football to,
Yep.
That kind of puts a little worry. And I agree. If this game was week 4, I probably would pick different. I think these first couple of weeks for the Indianapolis Colts will be more about them gelling and getting to know each other and figuring each other out so that they can hit their stride midseason and really become a threat to the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us on this show. The Indianapolis Colts hosting the Houston Texans. Let us know your predictions in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on an audio podcast, make sure to, leave a comment and a rating or whatever it is that you could do on that podcast station, and share this with your favorite social media, your friends, your family, all of that, so we can get our show out to more people. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Do you believe?